The events in this program are inspired by a true story. Names, dates, and details have been changed. Viewer discretion is advised. On this episode of Bizarre Murders, when a crusty spinster is murdered in her home, detectives have little to go on. Until someone starts to take on the victim's personality.
You minding my business?
And points the cops.
But do you believe in the afterlife?
Directly at the killer.
I know who killed me.
New Orleans, Louisiana, 2010. Firemen respond to a 911 call when neighbors notice smoke billowing out from under an apartment door. They quickly find the source of the fire, a burning couch. They also make a horrific discovery. The body is identified as 56-year-old Felicia, a nurse at the local retirement home.
Henry, back in your room. It's lunchtime. You're too skinny. You need to eat. Go on. Get.
Her abrasive, tough love style of nursing doesn't always sit well with her colleagues.
You minding my business? Because I don't need my business minded by you.
But that doesn't seem to bother her. Fear and grudging respect keep them quiet. Felicia prefers her own company to that of anyone else's and spends most of her breaks by herself.
Felicia's the kind of woman who doesn't suffer fools. She'll always tell it like it is, whether you want to hear it or not, and it isn't always pretty. It may be an efficient way to get the job done, but I'll tell you one thing, it doesn't win you a lot of friends.
Detective Alfred does his initial investigation and sees no sign of forced entry. After examining the body, detectives conclude that Felicia was likely sexually assaulted before the killer slit her throat. And while the apartment has been ransacked, there's no evidence that anything has been stolen.
There's a lot of evidence at the crime scene, but none of it is adding up. It looks like Felicia likely let her killer into her apartment, which means she knew him. But the motive doesn't seem clear. If it's a robbery gone bad, then what did they take? If it's a sex crime, then why did they toss the apartment? Either way, at least one thing is clear. The fire was an obvious attempt to destroy the crime scene.
The autopsy report reveals Felicia didn't have any carbon monoxide in her lungs, which confirms the detective's suspicion that the killer slit her throat, then set the fire to cover his tracks.
I'll be damned.
He also learns that Felicia was a virgin, which means she wasn't sexually assaulted.
Okay, well, this kind of puts a new spin on the 40-year-old virgin, doesn't it? Well, despite the fact that good old Felicia wasn't lucky in love, it's a solid clue for detectives because they can rule out sexual assault as a motive, which leads them with nothing. Nothing at all.
In an attempt to find out everything they can about Felicia's life, they track down her closest relative, her cousin Ray.
Hi, this is Detective Alfred calling. We're investigating the murder of your cousin Felicia.
He tells them Felicia was a spinster who had a very small circle of friends. And even at the retirement home where she worked, she mostly kept to herself.
Well, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Hoping to learn who might have a grudge against Felicia, Detective Alfred visits the retirement home where she worked.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about Felicia.
Felicia? She was, how do I put this? Focused.
So I've heard. Now, what were routines like? Was anything strange about her?
It was like clockwork. Every morning she arrived 15 minutes early for her coffee. Same egg salad sandwich with tomatoes for lunch. Same afternoon cigarette breaks. Just enough time for 2 ciggies, she always said.
All right.
I can show you where she always took her breaks.
People have their routines, sure, but Felicia was highly regimented and she rarely strayed from her schedule, which can be a good lead for investigators. It not only makes it easy for them to track her movements right before she was killed, it limits the amount of people she may have had contact with. And that, my friends, if you follow my logic, limits the number of suspects.
Is there anything else you can tell me about her?
Just as Detective Alfred wraps up his interview, Letitia spots something strange.
Oh my God, it's her,
Who?
Felicia. It's exactly 2:15. That's when she would always go on break. And that's her damn song.
Her what?
The song she always hums.
Detective Alfred approaches a woman who looks strangely similar to his murder victim.
Excuse me?
You minding my business? Because I don't need my business minded by you.
Not only is she spouting Felicia's catchphrase, she sounds exactly like her.
I'm generally not a big believer in people rising from the dead or any of that mystical stuff. But from this angle, it looks like Detective Alfred may be looking at a dead woman walking.
Cheyenne is a nurse who works at the same retirement home as Felicia. And that's where the similarities end.
Hey, sugar, how y'all today?
Good, thanks. You?
If God's in your heart, it's always a good day. Sweetie, I made some pralines for y'all. You better grab some before the next shift comes on.
While Felicia is crabby and crusty, Cheyenne is a ray of sunshine.
Yum. These are better than the last ones y'all made.
I put some extra butter and sugar in there and a little bit of nutmeg and some of my mama's vanilla.
She's been happily married for 20 years, enjoys singing in the church choir on Sundays, and doesn't drink anything stronger than sweet tea. And while Cheyenne knows who Felicia is, they work opposite shifts, and their paths rarely cross.
Hey, hon, you scrubs?
You minding my business?
But after Felicia's death, Cheyenne's sunny disposition starts to fade, and her husband notices some strange changes in her appearance.
I just thought you'd want something to drink, like perhaps some tea.
What you think this is?
I was just asking.
I ain't got time for this foolishness.
Cheyenne's colleagues also notice the change.
Good morning, Cheyenne.
Not from where I'm standing. You know, I'm sick and tired of all your cheerfulness and all your happy, happy, joy, joy foolishness. I'm at work, you're at work, and worse, we're here together.
You feeling okay, Cheyenne?
You minding my business? Because I don't need my business minded by you.
Not only is she starting to look like their murdered colleague Felicia, but she's starting to sound like her too.
Are you gonna move, or am I gonna make you move?
I'll move.
If you're anything like me, you're looking at Cheyenne and thinking, what the heck is going on? Here's a woman who barely knew Felicia, and she's basically taking on her personality now that she's dead. When people are under stress, they can exhibit personality changes. So maybe Cheyenne is in the middle of some kind of breakdown. That, or she's got an even sicker sense of humor than I do.
I ain't got no...
Despite the fact that Cheyenne has never touched a cigarette in her life, she begins to take regular smoke breaks at the exact time Felicia used to take hers.
Are you a man? Are you a man or a boy? Am I your wife or your mama? Make your own dinner for a change, fool. I'm going to the casino after work.
Nothing seems to crack Cheyenne's newfound hardened veneer until a friendly janitor crosses her path.
I'm so...
How y'all doing?
Get away from me. Get away from me.
So Cheyenne has gone from someone who's sweet as pralines and adored by all to a full-blown badass who isn't afraid of anyone. But she's suddenly terrified of a janitor who offers a friendly hello? This is obviously more than a stress-related issue. I'm no psychologist, but whatever it is, one thing's for sure. Cheyenne's got some serious issues going on.
Detective Alfred is frustrated by the lack of progress in the investigation until he receives a surprise visit from a local dentist in town.
How do you do, sir? I'm Dan.
Boy.
I wanted to talk to you about the murder of my wife's coworker, Felicia.
Your wife know her well?
Well, no, but she seems to be really affected by her death. I think she might have some information.
Oh, really?
But before I go any further, can I ask you something?
Sure can.
I know this is gonna sound crazy, but do you believe in the afterlife?
Well, my mama was a believer, and my daddy thought it was hooey. So, I'm about 50-50.
I made a recording of my wife, Cheyenne, last night.
My name is Felicia.
As crazy as it sounds, I fear she might be possessed with Felicia's spirit. She's basically transformed into a completely different person. And I'm starting to get a little scared.
Cheyenne also reveals some surprising information about Felicia's murder.
I know who killed me.
So Dan here is claiming that Cheyenne is possessed by Felicia's spirit. As an FBI agent, you're trained to be skeptical, but it doesn't take much effort here. A genteel Southern woman being possessed by a dead spinster spirit she never even knew? Okay, tell me another one.
2 weeks after Felicia is murdered in cold blood, a frightened and anxious Cheyenne has taken a leave of absence from work, claiming she's sick.
Get away from me. Stop it. Stop what are you doing?
Hi, Cheyenne. I'm Detective Alfred. Your husband here tells me you may have some information on Felicia's death.
My name is Felicia.
This is serious business.
He's murdered me! He's murdered me! Help me, please!
Who?
Bruno Beaumont!
Who's that?
I have no idea.
Okay, I've seen The Exorcist. I get it. Either Cheyenne is channeling Felicia and pointing the finger at her killer, or she's a nutcase who somehow believes she's become a dead woman. Either way, she's pointing to a potential suspect, and at this point, with no other solid leads, detectives have no choice but to look into it.
After questioning Cheyenne's colleagues, they learn that Bruno Beaumont is a janitor at the retirement home where she and Felicia worked.
Here you go, Tish.
Thanks, Bruno. You're the best.
He's known by all his co-workers as a gentle soul who's always ready to lend a helping hand.
So it's at the dog track. Oh, amazing. You got to go. You have to go. So I had one dog.
Bruno is one of the rare people Felicia tolerated.
It was a real long shot. Starting bet was $1,000. And my Greyhound won. I just got me $3,000 that day.
Oh, I haven't been to the races in ages.
What?
Makes me want to go.
You should go. It was too much fun.
But as far as anyone knew, they didn't associate outside of work.
Hand, please.
Can I have a smoke?
There'll be no smoking in here, ma'am.
I ain't got time for this foolishness.
Suspicious of Cheyenne's accusations, Detective Alfred asks her to take a lie detector test.
Who killed you, Felicia?
Bruno, and he damn slit my throat.
In an attempt to catch Cheyenne in a lie, he feeds her false information.
How did Bruno break into your apartment?
He didn't break in, fool. I let him in.
Tripping people up with false details is a pretty good way for cops to figure out if a suspect is giving them the runaround. The problem is, it's not working. In fact, Cheyenne is giving investigators details about the crime that no one would know except Felicia and her killer. And this is getting creepy, even for me. By now, Detective Alford has got to be wondering if Cheyenne really does have a direct line to the other world.
Unable to prove Cheyenne is faking it, Detective Alford follows the only lead he has and takes a closer look at Bruno. He does a background check and learns Bruno's been arrested for shoplifting and domestic assault, but the charges never stuck.
Bruno, you've been bad.
Even if this guy hasn't been convicted of anything, this type of dodgy past is a red flag for investigators. So the next step is figuring out two things. Does the guy have motive and opportunity?
Zeroing in on their only suspect, detectives bring Bruno in for questioning.
All right. I understand that you've been a custodian at the retirement home for some time now.
Yeah.
You and Felicia ever see each other outside of work at all?
Yeah, I'd see her a few times. I'm a handyman, so I would go over to her house, fix some things. I do a lot of odds and ends for a lot of the single ladies I work.
Odds and ends, all right. Well, let's just cut to the chase here. Where were you the night of Felicia's murder?
Oh, yeah. Took my girlfriend out that night. Actually took her to the steakhouse, just down the street on Bourbon. Yeah, actually, you know what? Actually, I think I still have the receipt.
You still have the receipt?
Yeah, I like to keep all my receipts. There you go. Yeah, you could talk to her if you want. She'll tell you.
All right. I'll do that.
So at this point, detectives have got to figure out who's telling the truth. On one hand, Bruno had access to Felicia's apartment, but he also has an alibi. On the other hand, Cheyenne has details of the murder that by all rights, she shouldn't have. One of them's got to break, and it's Detective Alford's job to do the breaking.
Unsure who to believe, Detective Alford visits Cheyenne once more, hoping for a break in the case.
You is the daddy, fool. Kid number 6. Oh, Lord, trash. Why your sister don't mind her own business? Everybody's minding everybody's business, but...
Well, Cheyenne.
Why the hell you keep calling me Cheyenne? My name is Felicia.
All right. Is there anything more you can tell me about that night, Felicia?
Well, he stole my watch. That was my watch. That was my mama's watch, her mama before that. And he took it. It was gold with diamonds and red stones at every number. He killed me, and then that snake stole my watch. My cousin Ray can identify it.
Cousin Ray. Now, how can I get in touch with this Cousin Ray?
You heard telephones? Ray's number is...
She proceeds to give the exact phone number and address of Felicia's cousin Ray.
So this is starting to get a little spooky. I'm no sissy, but I will admit poltergeists kind of freak me out. And the stuff Cheyenne's spouting seem to be the facts that only Felicia would know. Either this lady is telling the truth, or she's done her homework, and she's an A student.
Detectives pay Bruno a visit at home.
All right, so let me get this straight. On the night of the incident, y'all went out for a birthday dinner.
See, I told you.
His girlfriend reconfirms their dinner date on the night Felicia was killed. But before Detective Alford leaves, he notices something that turns the case on its head.
Where'd you get that? Let me see that.
Yeah, I kind of got that for her when we when we went out, just kind of commemorate the occasion. You know, she likes her jewelry. You know, great night out for dinner. Yeah.
That's Felicia's watch. Where'd y'all get it?
I bought it at a pawn shop.
Got a receipt for that?
I threw it away.
I thought you always kept them. I thought you were the receipt guy.
Okay, so let's recap. Stick with me on this one. Over here, we've got a guy with priors who may have just given his girlfriend a dead woman's watch. And over here, we have a semi-lucid psychic who's spouting details about a murder she had nothing to do with. This is probably where the saying, between a rock and a hard place, was born.
Looking to uncover the truth about the violent death of Felicia, Detective Alford asks her cousin Ray to identify Felicia's watch. Ray sends Detective Alford an email that seals the deal.
Nice try, Bruno. Nice try.
Detective Alford has caught Bruno in a bold-faced lie. So here's where cops go in for the kill. I love this part. This never gets old.
Police up the ante and call Bruno down to the station.
Thanks for coming down again. Really do appreciate it. Now, before we begin, is there anything you'd like to get off your chest? One last chance?
No.
How about we get some fingerprints then?
I ain't got nothing to do with this, man.
Well, then you all got nothing to worry about now, do you? Well, what do you know? Looks like your fingerprints are all over the crime scene.
I used to go over and fix up for all the time. I'm sure my fingerprints are there.
Sensing weakness, Detective Alford plays his ace.
Would they be on the knife that was used to slit her throat?
No.
Really? Because I got something here. Tells me different. Does this sound familiar, Bruno?
Why would Bruno want to kill you? Because he had a gambling debt, and I refused to lend him money.
Who's that?
That's your coworker, Cheyenne.
How would she know that?
Is there something you want to tell me?
All she had to do was give me the money. That's all she had to do.
It looks like hearing Felicia's voice talking from the grave shocked Bruno into giving himself up. I'd never believe it myself if I didn't see it for myself. In fact, I still don't believe it.
Oh, yeah. I'll pay up. No problem, man.
Having gone into debt betting all his money on dog racing, Bruno's finally out of cash. And his bookie comes calling.
What, he wanted tonight? Oh, I don't know, man. No. Don't hurt her. Don't hurt her. I'll get it.
Bruno admits that the night of the murder, he shows up unexpectedly at Felicia's house.
Bruno, what are you doing here?
Hi. I need a favor.
Okay.
Bruno tells Felicia he's in a bind. He owes his bookie a wad of cash, and he has to pay up.
These people are bad people. I need anything that you can give me.
I ain't got no money for you.
I've seen rolls of cash tucked in every drawer of your house.
That's for my retirement. I can't lend you any money.
We've been friends since. I need money. You can't give me anything?
You can shout out at me all you want. You're not getting any money from me.
When Bruno's pleading doesn't work, he threatens Felicia.
You need to go. calling the cops on you.
When she refuses to give in, Bruno snaps. He kills Felicia. Then robs her. And attempts to cover up the crime.
Money is the most common motive for murder, and stupid criminals in desperate situations usually have zero impulse control, which means they wind up making mistakes and getting caught. Bruno didn't go there to kill Felicia, but when she refused to help him, he lost it. So instead of having to deal with his bookie, Bruno's got to deal with a bunch of cops that can put him away for good. These losers will never learn.
Bruno is found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison. As soon as he's behind bars, the spirit of Felicia stops haunting Cheyenne and starts haunting Bruno.
No! 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 No!
Even if you don't believe in all this hocus-pocus stuff, the clues given by this so-called possessed woman led cops to the killer. So in my mind, we're left with two explanations. She either outsmarted the cops and solved the murder herself, but was too scared to point the finger at her colleague, or she really was possessed by the spirit of the victim who used her as a medium to speak from beyond the grave. Look, you don't have to tell me it's cray-cray, like my kids say. Either way you look at it, justice was served. It might just make me a believer.